Have you ever felt your car just lurch, or maybe slide for a split second, and you feel that loss of connection to the road? Well, those moments aren't random at all. They're all about hidden physics, specifically something we call longitudinal forces. So let's break down what that really means for you, the person behind the wheel.
I want you to think about that heart in your stomach feeling. You know, that unsettling little wiggle you get when you try to accelerate on a wet or icy road? That little bit of drama? That's not just a fluke. It's actually a message. Your car is trying to talk to you.
So the big question is, what is it trying to say? Every single time you're pushed back into your seat or you lurch forward against the seatbelt, that's a clue about the incredible forces at play. It's time we start translating that language from just a gut feeling into actual science.
All right, so first up, let's do exactly that. We're going to take that heart in your stomach sensation and turn it into something we can understand. This is where you really start to learn the language of your car.
So, what in the world are longitudinal forces? I know, it sounds super technical, but trust me, it's actually pretty simple. These are just the forces moving your car forward and backward, parallel to the road. The easiest way to think of it is as the go and slow axis, and mastering this one axis is the absolute key to being in control.
Now, these forces, they don't work alone. It's more like a dynamic tug of war, a dance between four key players. And understanding this delicate balance, well, that's the real secret to understanding how your vehicle behaves.
First, let's talk about the two forces we have direct control over, right there with our feet. You've got the acceleration force. That's the engine's power pushing the car forward. That's your go pedal. And then you've got its partner, the braking force. That's the friction from your brakes slowing you down, the stop pedal. Easy enough, right?
But here's where it gets a little more subtle. There are always a couple of other forces working in the background. Rolling resistance is that constant, low-level drag your tires have on the road. And what's really interesting is how much things like underinflated tires can crank this force up, which costs you fuel and makes the car feel sluggish. And then there's grade resistance, which is just a fancy name for good old gravity. It's what pulls you back when you're climbing a hill and gives you a little push going down.
Okay, now for what I think is the most critical concept of all of this. All those forces we just talked about, they create something called dynamic weight shift. This is the absolute key to stability, and the best way to picture it is as a seesaw of grip.
So, dynamic weight shift, what is that? Well, it's all about inertia. See, your car's mass, the engine, the frame, it all wants to keep doing whatever it's already doing. So when you hit the gas or the brakes, the car changes speed, but for a split second, all that mass inside resists, and that resistance is what makes the weight slosh around.
Okay, let's look at acceleration. You step on the gas and bam, the weight shifts to the rear. The back of the car kind of squats down, right? That pushes the rear tires into the pavement, which is great for traction. But it also makes the front tires lighter. And since your front tires do all the steering, if you give it too much gas in a corner, the car might just want to plow straight ahead instead of turning. We call that understeer.
Now let's flip it around to what I call the danger zone, braking. You hit the brakes and all that weight just slams forward. The nose of the car dives down, loading up those front tires with grip, but the huge consequence is that the rear tires become dangerously light. They lose almost all their effective load and their grip.
So how much weight are we talking about? Well, during really hard braking, up to 80%, 80, of your car's dynamic weight can slam onto those two front wheels. Just think about that for a second. If your rear tires suddenly have almost no weight pressing them into the road, what do you think happens if they lose what little grip they have left? The car wants to pivot, and that's how you spin out.
And that potential pivot, that spin, leads us right here. A slide or skid isn't some random accident. It is the totally predictable result of mismanaging these forces and losing that crucial connection to the road.
And it almost always boils down to one of two things. An acceleration skid, which you probably know as a fishtail, is when you just ask for way more power than the tires can deliver. They just spin uselessly, they lose their connection, and the back end of the car steps out. Then you've got the braking skid. You brake way too hard, the wheels lock up, and here's the thing. A locked wheel can't be steered. It's basically a ski at that point. Your car just becomes a sled going wherever momentum takes it.
Thankfully, most of our cars today have these amazing little expert force managers built right in. Your ABS, or anti-lock braking system, is a lifesaver. It rapidly pulses the brakes for you to prevent the wheels from ever locking up. This is absolutely crucial because it means you can still steer while you're braking hard. And traction control basically does the same thing, but for acceleration. It'll cut the engine power or break a spinning wheel just enough to help it get its grip back. So, Let's pull all this physics together into one simple, actionable idea. Understanding these forces is what shifts you from being a reactive driver, someone who just panics and slams the brakes, to a proactive driver who is always in control.
So what is the single most important lesson from all this physics? It's just 3 words. That's it. Smoothness is key.
And why is that? It's because smooth, progressive inputs with the gas and the brake prevent those violent shifts in weight. By being smooth, you are actively keeping that seesaw of grip perfectly balanced, making sure all 4 tires stay connected to the road and keeping yourself completely in command of the vehicle.
So, I'll leave you with one last question to chew on. If understanding these hidden forces can give you so much more control and confidence on the road, where else in your life could digging into the underlying dynamics, the hidden forces that are always at play, give you that exact same feeling of real mastery and command?
Please like, subscribe, and get notified.